I think we're going to start out with the Cincinnati Bengals, who picked number 5 overall.
Yep.
A little bit of controversy on our live draft show about who they should have picked here. You thought they should have gone Penei Sewell. I somewhat agreed, but I understand the Jamar Chase pick.
Yes. So,
So,
to bury the hatchet, I agree 100% with what you said. I understand it, and it's not a bad pick. It's only a bad pick when Joe Burrow tears his other ACL because he was the most hit quarterback last year, correct?
well,
Relative to when
per games played, I guess, yeah.
per games played to when he destroyed his knee, and he's supposed to be your franchise quarterback. He's supposed to be your guy for the next 15 years. You see these quarterbacks now are playing. I mean, Phillip Rivers played for what, 18 years, 17 years, or something like that. Like
17, yeah.
yeah. So you want Joe Burrow to be playing to almost potentially 2040, and getting Penei Sewell would have locked that up and helped with his longevity, so to say. Especially then
Yeah.
coming right after an ACL tear. And not just an ACL tear, but just everything was destroyed. That being said, I do really like the Jamar Chase pick, all things considered. They already had a pretty good receiving core. Now I think they have a great receiving core, and already the chemistry with Jamar Chase is going to help out a bunch. I'm upset it cost me a little bit of money because I thought Penei Sewell was going to be picked 5th in my draft pool, and then essentially after this pick, every other pick I got wrong because it really messed up everything. So
Yeah, no.
but moving aside from Jamar Chase, they did then get Jackson Carman from Clemson, and with their second pick, with their second round pick. I really like that pick as well. I think Joseph Asai in the 3rd round is great value. I don't know anything about Cameron Sample, but I know we've talked about already in the past
Small
couple
school guy.
Yeah, a small school guy from Tulane. But I know we've criticized people going back to back with their first 2 picks in the same position. Colts, for example, Bills is another one, especially 2 edge rushers. I think here I actually kind of like it because you're going with what they think is probably best value for their system. But also, with this at this point in the draft, if one guy doesn't work out but the other does, you're totally fine with that.
It's also not picks 1 and pick 2. It's picks
Yes, it is.
3 and 4, which is much different than 1 and 2.
Yes.
So
However, probably my favorite pick, I think, for the Bengals draft is probably Tyler Shelvin.
I love Tyler Shelvin, the
Yeah,
huge
I mean, that
defensive
dude-
lineman from LSU.
And now imagine that this defense, if let's say Joseph Sight and Cameron Sample pan out, and then you have Tyler Shelvin up the middle. And I'm not. Do they do a 3-4 or 4-3 type defense?
They're more of a 4-3. They had Carlos Dunlap there for a few years.
Okay.
But they're definitely more of a 4-3. But yeah, either way, I mean, you have a huge run stuffing defensive tackle in Tyler Shelvin.
Yeah. Especially then in that division with the Steelers are already a kind of the Steelers have historically always been a very power run heavy type team. You also have the Ravens with not Mark Ingram. Carlos, not Carlos Hyde. Crap. Who's the Ravens running back?
J.K. Dobbins.
J.K. Dobbins. I knew he was an Ohio State guy.
Yeah.
But with Lamar Jackson, then you also have the running back tandem of Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt out of Cleveland. So you need to have that run stopping type guy. And I think I think the Bengals with this pick hit the nail on the head. For me, with these first 5 picks, like I said, I don't know Cameron Sample as much, but for me, I honestly give them an A. I know the Jamar Chase controversial pick is somewhat controversial to some, well, myself included, because I think Penei Sewell should have been it. That being said, though, still the best receiver in this class, hands down, and you got him with his former quarterback. So, to me, I don't think there's much of anything that they could have done differently besides that one pick.
Yeah. The one thing that I do wish that they would have done is addressed the offensive line later on. I feel like that there were definitely some offensive linemen that they could have drafted just later in the draft. I'm talking after Tyler Shelvin.
Yeah. Well, they did
And
get
so-
Trey Hill, the center from Georgia.
Yeah, and I like that pick. I wish they could have gotten another offensive lineman just to build some depth because, again, you have Joe Burrow. You have to protect him, especially after he just had that horrific knee injury.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm gonna go B plus, just because I wish they would have done more to address the offensive line. But I love the Jamar Chase pick. The Jackson Carman pick to me was pretty good. I think he was the best tackle available. I do think you could have gotten that same talent a little bit later.
Yeah.
And then I think Joseph Osai was a borderline first round, like early to mid second round guy, and you get him I get that's early third round. So I like him and Cameron Sample. I think they did a lot to build up that roster with some young talent. But so I'm gonna go B plus just because I really wish they would have done more on that offensive line. And they also picked a kicker, so I can't really.
Yeah, you can't be.
Yeah, I can't be too high on it.
I'm curious what the logic is behind kicking special teams in the draft. Like, unless if a dude is just was Harrison Butker, was he drafted by the Chiefs?
Yeah, I think so.
I know he was a standout at Georgia Tech, from his freshman year to when he got drafted.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure he was drafted. I mean, guys like Steven Gostkowski, Justin Tucker were drafted. I want to say Pat McAfee was even drafted. I know Jake Bailey, who was the all-pro punter.
No, Pat McAfee was undrafted.
Oh, he was?
I'm pretty sure he was undrafted. I don't think that. I thought. Actually, I could be wrong on that.
But I know Jake Bailey, the all-pro punter last year for the Patriots, he was drafted in the 5th round. I mean, usually with these specialty guys, you're looking 5th round and later. I mean, it's very rare. I think Roberto Aguayo was the only one to be taken that high.
Oh, okay. And I apologize. Pat McAfee was taken in the 7th round, 222nd pick.
Yeah.
So.
And so, I mean, they do need a kicker. To draft a kicker to me, it's like picking defense with your first 5 picks in fantasy football.
Yeah.
For me, I don't necessarily like it because I feel like there's value later. But if he can become even like the next Steven Gostkowski for the Patriots, where he gives you 14 years of consistent field goal kicking.
Yeah, and you don't have to worry about it.
Then I mean, go for it. But for now, I'm gonna say B plus, and move on to the next team for me.
Yeah.
So.
All right, okay, I like it. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing the Bengals keep growing. They're in that class, I think, with Jacksonville and the Jets to see them keep developing. They were fun to watch when they played the Steelers on, I think it was Monday Night Football, and even though Joe Burrow wasn't in there, the team itself looked interesting and looked like they were developing well.
Yeah. And with a young team like that, they're going to take time. I don't really think they're going to compete for anything this year. I think at most they will maybe get a wild card, but even then, that's kind of a stretch.
Especially in that division with how dominant those other teams are. I think it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
Just because, heck, the Steelers might be the worst team, and we're going to speak about them in a second. But maybe they'll pass the Steelers, but I don't think they'll pass the Browns or the Ravens this year.
No. And